Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Matt, here for the Sin Bin, here for another exciting review, this time for Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Finals between the Blues and the Montreal Canadiens, JK, the Boston Bruins. So, Game 4, really excited. Went to see it at a sports bar once again. So, just before getting to review, I go through some of, the important key moments of the game and kind of share my thoughts on it. But before I get into that, I like to give my pre-game key points. So first key point, St. Louis just needed to stay out of the box. So in case you guys didn't follow last game, Boston had 4 power plays, and they scored, counted, 4 times. 4 times on 4 power plays, and I believe on 4 shots. I don't believe I've ever seen that before. In all of my years of watching hockey since 2006, when the Anaheim Ducks won it, I almost said the Mighty Ducks, I've never seen that happen. But it happened. So keys of the game, if you're St. Louis, avoid the penalty box. And I get that's easier said than done because the brand of play that St. Louis plays is such a rough style. It's such a go-to-the-net style. There's obviously going to be some penalties. But with that being said, no penalties. Next thing, Bennington had to be solid. Bennington, I know a few people were saying, should he start the game? He kind of played a little lackluster in game 2. Absolutely no question. Bennington should start the game. He needed to be lights out. And there was a very interesting stat. So Bennington coming off of a loss is 12-2, which is very good odds if you're a poker player. 12-2. No, Bennington all the way. He helped you get to this point. No question about it. So that being said, let's move on to the first period. What happened in the first period? So right off the bat, just being completely objective here, it seemed like one team was hungrier than the other. Arguably, I was the hungriest out of everyone because I'm just a pig. I like to eat. But one team was hungrier than the other because right off the bat, O'Reilly does a wraparound. And as he did a wraparound, I bit into my chicken wrap sandwich. So there was double wrap action. And he scores. So great start. 1-0 Blues. Now let's focus in on the chat here. So Nuisance Film Production says, I hope the underdog Blues can win. I hate the Bruins. TBH. Lol. And then I said, nice pig joke. And so yeah, Nuisance Film. Definitely, if you like the Blues, I wish the best for them. I would definitely like to see you happy. And yeah, pig jokes. Yeah, I appreciate a good porcine joke every now and then. And yeah, I appreciate pig jokes. Self-deprecating humor, you're going to get a lot of it on this channel. I know there's a lot of subject matter here. So Nuisance Film says, I'm an Avs fan, so I needed that. Yes, definitely. If you're an Avs fan, we cover every team on this channel. So you don't have to worry about that. Moving on with the game, it seemed like the Blues were very physical throughout the whole thing. And it seemed like, I always said this, now the Blues may not be as skilled as the Bruins. And due to that skill, I still think the Bruins will come up on top. I say Bruins in 6. But that being said, while they're not as skilled, they are definitely bigger and they definitely work harder, in my opinion. So I realized right off the bat, they were just targeting some of the players. One of those players being Pastrnak. Pastrnak, he better get some Dunkin' Donuts because he ain't going to sleep well tonight. He got targeted, and he got targeted heavy. One prime example of it is in the end of the game. Tarasenko, who there's a considerable weight, difference between Tarasenko and Pastrnak, just drilled him into the boards with the shoulder check. And he's going to be feeling that. You could bet it. These hits, it seems like nothing to you and me because we're just watching it, eating our jumbo shrimp, and it seems like nothing. But for the players, it leaves effects. And I know it's the style now to say that hockey's going towards a small, speedy, skilled type of way, and something I don't necessarily disagree with. But if you can play physical, you wear down your opponent, you're going to wear them down. Now, Nuisance Film says, And I make pig's feet jokes in my show, Fast and Food Rock and Roll. So yeah, pig feet jokes. Definitely need to check out your show. You'll love them. I got a good whack when I was last on the ice. I know the feels. I definitely last on the ice. You know, come if you need self-deprecating humor, come here. You know, we'll joke together. Last on the ice. I was definitely last on the ice the whole time, but partially because I always had diarrhea before the game, so I was taking a shit, and then games would start, and I'd still be in the bathroom, and I'd be like, "Whoa, who scored? I hear noise." Anyway, moving on. So Charlie Coyle makes it 1-1. Charlie Coyle makes it 1-1. And as I always say, pucks on net. When you put pucks on net, you never know what might happen. Not only could the goalie give up a little freebie, but he might give up a rebound, and a bad rebound. And for Bennington, we saw that a lot this game. Look no further than the Bruins' second goal, the goal by Carlo shorthanded. He made the initial save, but the problem with that was his rebound control, because the rebound came off of his pad directly to Brendan Carlo's stick. You couldn't have set it up any better. And once again, easier said than done. I get it. I'm not an NHL goalie. I don't have the physique of an NHL goalie. I'm very socially awkward and very physically awkward. If I were to play a position, it wouldn't be goalie. By the way, I always wondered this. Is there a rule prohibiting putting a sumo in nets? Because a sumo is such a large person, they would cover the whole net. There is no way to score on them unless you dislodge him from the net somehow. I need to check if there's a rule prohibiting putting a sumo or like a 7-foot, 500-pound guy in nets. Because he wouldn't even have to move and he'd save the puck. Anyway, so Charlie Coyle scores, pucks on net, 1-1. There's a fly on my notebook, probably because I dropped bacon grease on it. So then it's 1-1. Tarasenko scores, makes it 2-1. And I criticized Sammy Blais in the last game because he made a pinch that wasn't really good. And granted, it was a team game. The whole team as a collective didn't play good. But on that play, I criticized Sammy Blais heavily. Now, he did a really nice pass. Another trend that's happening in the NHL is the infamous flip pass. And Don Cherry gets a big old boner, you know, if he takes his Viagra, granted. He gets a big old boner talking about these flip passes because it goes by all of the sticks. If you just throw it in the air and then it lands directly on a player's stick, it's kind of getting in style. And while he didn't really do a flip pass in the conventional sense, he kind of lobbed it over to whoever the player was, you know, who shoots it. Tarasenko pots it back in. And I realized a little trend throughout this game. It seemed like every team that would score, momentum would shift in that team's favor. So, for instance, the Blues score the first goal. They get all the momentum. And there was a really, really good shift where the Bruins just couldn't get it out of their zone. And then the Bruins score, and it seems like the Bruins are playing a little better. And then, oh, the Blues scored, momentum shifts. It was like a ballet of momentum out there, just momentum shifting left and right. And after Tarasenko's goal, making it 2-1, I noticed a lot of physicality coming from the Blues. And there was one hit I put down in my notes, 2 hits as a matter of fact, where McAvoy got hit and then Carlo got hit. And McAvoy, I said it last game, he's been targeted because he's their number 1 defenseman. I don't know if he plays with Chara, but the thing is about Chara, you can't hit him. You can't move a guy that's 6'9". It's just impossible. So what are you going to do? Target the smaller guy. They went after McAvoy. McAvoy ate it. They went after Carlo. Carlo ate it. So definitely, they're a very, very physical team. And sometimes it plays in their favor. Sometimes it doesn't. They get carried away. They get penalties. They get scored on. So that's period 1. This period was kind of not really eventful, to be honest. I know there was quite a few goals, but in my opinion, it was kind of uneventful. I felt myself staring off into dead space more often than not. Now that's different for the rest of the game, because the rest of the game definitely was worth my price of admission. I think that this game, more than the others, was the most entertaining game in the playoffs. In the series so far. Probably, now that I say it by accident, the most entertaining game in the playoffs is probably the one that the Vegas Golden Knights played against the Sharks in Game 7. Unfortunately, I didn't get the luxury of watching the game live, but I watched the playoffs. I watched the replays. My apologies. And that looked like an insane game. So let's just go over a few comments here. Stole by Nuisance Production. I got a good whack when I was last on the ice. Okay, I already read that. I'm more of a goalie because I can't take a hit these days. And I can be fast and I'm average. I love the rush. Why did I miss it? Crappy creativity break withdrawals man. Crappy creativity break withdrawals man. So I don't think I get that comment, in all honesty. But going back to your goalies comment, yeah, if you were a goalie, there's this saying in hockey. They say appearance of a goalie, it's really, really stressful because you're watching your kid in net and it seems like the whole weight of the world is on him. And if he makes a little mistake, then the puck's going to go in the net. So he says, I took a break from creativity. So yeah, the break from creativity certainly helps, get your creative juices flowing. And now he's having withdrawals. So, hey, it happens. But listen, while you're on your break, you can watch my videos in the meantime. And invite your friends to watch my videos. It's not prohibited. You can invite them. And while I'm on the topic, people might wonder, why are you making videos on YouTube? Why are you making videos, fucking 11:14 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, one person listening, and why are you doing it? And my answer to that is simple. Is it for the love of the game? Is it for your passion about hockey? Hell no, it's about the money. I saw a fucking Chinese kid review a toy that looks like a dildo, and he gets $10 million over it. Why can't I do that? I can review toys. Anyone can review toys. My 2-year-old nephew can review toys. He plays with toys. He sticks them up his nose. Where's his $10 million? I could make that money. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm talking about YouTube. I should be talking about the games. So moving on to period 2, which proved to be another really entertaining period, along with period 3. And as you may have gotten a glimpse of, I got my notepad. I always write notes, not because I like scripted things. I don't necessarily like it when things are scripted, but rather I write things down because I have a tendency of forgetting plays after I'm done visioning the game. So period 2 happens. Shen shot the puck. It tipped on Chera's stick and then landed in his mouth. That's one way to get your opponent to stop talking. But that being said, it wasn't really Shen's fault because it's not like he aimed his mouth. I mean, if he purposefully aimed his mouth, you got to imagine Chara would have done something to him. But no, puck to the mouth, tipped off the stick, right in the mouth. That must hurt. And to see Chara try to get it up, and I'm probably the last person on earth who's a Chara fan. Chara made my life miserable. Definitely not a Chara fan. But you got to admire that. Just to see him try to get up, bleeding from the mouth, dripping blood all over the place. They got to scrape it off with a fucking pickaxe, shovel. You got to admire that. And that's what separates my sport from soccer. Soccer, you got Neymar fish flopping all over the place like a fucking fish out of water. Fucking breaks a nail and it's like he had a, 3rd-degree heart block. And then we got Chara, pucks to the mouth, gets up like nothing happened, comes back in the game, fishbowl on the face. If this is baseball, you break a nail, you're out for the full season. No, hockey players are tough. And just speaking in Bruins jargon, just look at the 2011 final. Bergeron played with a broken rib The rib cracked, punctured his lung. And you go back to that series and you see him on the bench. He has trouble breathing, and he continued playing. Now that's dedication. That's what separates hockey from the other sports. And it's a shame that hockey's not more popular because they do a shitty job marketing. Fucking LeBron James getting a leg cramp. Do you know the amount of times I get a leg cramp? I basically live with a leg cramp. I went to the doctor. He told me, Matt, you have a rare condition. You have leg cramps 24 hours a day. LeBron James gets stretchered off the ice. So then Dunn hits the post. I believe this was Dunn's first game this playoffs. And I think he's a really important defenseman for the Blues because there's not much defenseman in the Blues. You look at their defense, you got Pietrangelo, you got Edmondson, you got Boomister. They're not necessarily, the fleet of foot puck-moving defensemen. So Dunn brings that different facet, brings that versatility to the defense. And he hit that post, boom. It was kind of funny. I need to review the play, but I don't think there was a screen in front of Rask. And goalies are so athletic nowadays. You often will rarely score unless there's a screen in front of the net. So seeing that one get past Rask, he can count his lucky stars that didn't go in and it just hit the post. So Colton Parayko takes a penalty in the second. I think this was a little controversial because I wasn't listening to the game with any volume. I couldn't hear it. But the puck, it seemed to have maybe touched the glass, but then again, maybe it didn't. I saw the glass move. But maybe that could have been upon impact of the Bruins player hitting Parayko. The glass moved from that. I don't know. Maybe it moved from the puck. I think it was kind of controversial, but I might be wrong. Hey, I'm not a professional. I'm some doofus doing a fucking video in front of a beige wall. Most random colored beige. So, Ryan O'Reilly. So, as I said in the pregame, I said, do not give the Bruins an opportunity on the power play. They will make you pay for it. Okay? Their power play is too good. If you got players the caliber of Marchand who can dish it out, Pasternak who can score, Bergeron who can do everything, you don't want to give them a power play. Now, it seemed to me that quite the opposite happened on this one. Because while Parayko was in the box, Ryan O'Reilly almost scored. And I liked it because he was coming down the wing and the Boston defenseman caught up to him. So he knew, I can't take it to the net. He's not necessarily the most fleet of foot. He didn't have the speed to take it to net. So what does he do? Takes an old-fashioned slap shot. And it's rare nowadays that you can just see just a good old-fashioned slap shot a la Brian Giunta. Brian Giunta would take a slap shot. I never saw him take a wrist shot. Just slap shots every single time. And that shot that Ryan O'Reilly made squeaked through Rask, almost went in. So with that being said, let's look over to the comments. Nuisance Film Production is writing a novel here. So puck in the mouth. Hope the lad is okay. I hate watching other sports, LOL. I'd rather watch the great game and play too. O'Reilly was a fave of mine since he was an Av. You want to hear an interesting story about Ryan O'Reilly? So at the time, he was a Buffalo Sabres. I went to a Buffalo Sabres Montreal Canadiens game in Montreal at the Bell Center. So what happens before the games start? There's the warm-ups. Montreal takes their side. Buffalo takes their side. So since the game is being played in Montreal, what happens? All of the fans rush towards the Montreal side in hopes of getting a puck. Because what happens is that sometimes the players see the fans, they flip a puck to them, they get a nice souvenir. Now, I wanted a souvenir at all costs. So what did I do? I was smart. I didn't go to the Montreal end. I went to the Buffalo end where there was barely anyone. Because I knew if there was barely anyone, my odds of getting a puck would be even greater. So I see Ryan O'Reilly. I see Evander Kane. They're skating by. They're this close from my face. And I'm saying, I use first name basis. I say, hey, Rasmus, give me a puck. Hey, Evander, shoot me a puck. And then Ryan O'Reilly's in front of me. and he's doing these, little puck dribbles, flippy things. Okay. He's in front of me. I'm like, Ryan, come on, Ryan. I love your defense. I love your guitar work. Why don't you give me a souvenir? And he's looking at me and he's laughing. He's completely acknowledging me. And I did not stop harassing Ryan O'Reilly. Ryan O'Reilly wanted to kill me by the end of the night. So he thinks I'm going to make this kid shut up, even though I'm a full-grown adult. I'm going to make this kid shut up. I'm going to give him the puck he wants. He looks at me in the eye, and I couldn't make eye contact because I was looking at his glorious beard. But he was looking at me in the eyes. I was looking at his beard. He goes to flip the puck. What happens? It hits the top of the glass. It falls back on the wrong side of the glass. He tries again, hits the top of the glass. He tries a third time, hits the top of the glass. And then instead of letting it hit the ice again, he tries to hit it back midair, back to me. It didn't work. So what happens? Does he give up? No. Worse, he turns to someone else and gives it to them. Ever since that day, I hold a grudge for Ryan O'Reilly. Now, Nuisance Film says Habs are my second favorite team. Well, Habs and Avalanche, that's interesting because Avalanche used to be the Quebec Nordiques, which have an intense rivalry with the Habs. He says, or she says, I got a puck at Denver Cutthroats game. He's cool. Now, Ian Marshall says, play Gloria. LOL. Ian Marshall says, hey, man, big fan of your videos. Hey, listen, I'm going to be honest. I'm completely humbled by that. I never knew people listened to these videos. So, Ian, thanks for the compliment, buddy. Definitely invite your friends over. I'm very PC. I don't make dumb jokes, at least not on purpose. Coming to think of it, I'm not PC at all. But thanks for the compliment, Ian. Make sure to subscribe if you're not already. Tell your friends about me. All right, so moving on. So after that power play, the power play with Ryan O'Reilly, that fucker that didn't give me the puck, after he almost scored, it was just all Blues all the time. And in fact, for most of this game, it was all Blues. And I think that there was periods where the Bruins were stuck for an extended period of time in the zone. And they just couldn't get it out. And I remember at some point they finally get the puck out and the Blues right off bring it back in. And the forwards got time to change. But I'm here thinking to myself, oh my God, the defense is still on the ice. I can't remember who it was. It was probably fucking Carlo or fucking Krug or one of those guys. Imagine being on the ice. I play hockey for 2 minutes, I'm gassed. Hey, less. I play hockey for 1 minute, I'm gassed. Heck, I watch hockey and I get out of breath. But that's partially because I have poorly controlled asthma. Imagine being on that ice for almost a 5-minute shift. And if you guys are curious, you can go on YouTube, search up the Alexiak versus Chara fight. What's that got to do with anything I'm talking about? Chara has a fight with Alexiak after he's on the ice for almost 2 to 3 minutes. And he still holds Alexiak at bay. So I know I'm getting a little off topic, but I was talking about extended period of time on the ice. Definitely look at that one. So Carlos scores on the penalty kill. Now that was what I alluded to, a bad rebound control by Bennington. It seemed for me, and if you take nothing else from this review, at least take this. When I look at the difference between the two goalies, and I'm not speaking from an expert perspective, I'm not speaking from a goalie coach perspective, I'm just speaking about when I watch it. It seemed to me that throughout this series, Rask has had a superior control of his net versus Bennington. It seems to me when the Blues shoot on Rask, I'm more confident that he's going to make a save than when the Bruins shoot on Bennington. I have kind of a mini heart attack because I'm like, wow, this might go in. Marchand coming down the wing on a bad angle. Whoa, it might go in. So It seems to me that Bennington hasn't necessarily had the best control of his net. And I remember turning to my friend and I'm saying, the Blues are fucked right now. The reason why it is because they're playing such a good game and they're working so friggin' hard and they're shooting much more than the Bruins. And it's 2-2. And for some teams, that's demoralizing. For some teams, they give up, they stop working, and the other team ends up winning. And good thing for the Blues and for the Blues fans, that wasn't the case. Their foot was on the pedal non-stop. It was. So all Blues after that power play until Carlos scored on the penalty kill. And I said it was a bad rebound by Bennington. Let's turn towards the chat. Newson says he has, yes. Ian Marshall says most definitely Rask has been ironclad. I feel like the defensemen have been carrying Benny a bit. Benny is just a kid to them. A rookie goalie star is rare. Roy was a good example. Now, Patrick Roy was an exception. Patrick Roy is a prime example of wherever team he went to, he won. And I always say this because people in Montreal, they like to make Carey Price into this god. And sometimes he is, sometimes he isn't. But I realize that with Carey Price, no matter what happens, it's never his fault. It's the team's fault. They say, well, he's on a bad team. Well, it's the defense fault. The defense didn't help him. When Patrick Roy won the cup in 1993, he played on one of the lousiest, if not the lousiest, Montreal Canadiens team to ever win the cup. Who was their star player? Danfus, who granted he scored 40 goals, but he's not like, Hall of Famer here. What was the defense? Patrice Brisebois? Hey, they're good players, I know. But he definitely carried the team. And then he went to Colorado because he asked for a trade after giving up 10 goals in a game, and he won over there. So I got to stay on topic. You guys are giving me great video ideas, okay? I've been thinking of starting a series called See It to Believe It Moments. And it's moments where I go back in the recreations of my mind and I pick out my favorite moments that happen in hockey. And I kind of explain it. I hit the mic. I explain it. I give my rundown. Kind of give the fans an opportunity to see it if they've never seen it before. An example of a video idea I've had is the Evander Kane. If you guys all know it, there was a preseason game where Evander Kane had 3 fights with the same guy. And Evander Kane won all 3 of those fights. So that's a pretty much a see it to believe it moment. That's not a bad idea for a video. So third period starts. And the Bruins go to the penalty box because Schwartz dove. Now look, the word dive is very controversial. If anyone was born watching Nessun Sports with that GOAT Jack Edwards, and when I say GOAT, I don't mean greatest of all time. I mean like a farm goat, Jack Edwards. Anytime the Bruins would take a penalty, he doesn't criticize his player. Oh, no, that's too high for him. He'll stoop lower. He says the other team dove. And it's to the point where I tell people I'm a Montreal Canadiens fan. And what do they tell me? Oh, your team is a bunch of divers. Hey, shut up. You're just listening to Jack Edwards. He's the one implanting this in your head. Who's the biggest diver in the NHL? Bradley Marchand. And who's the first to admit that? Bradley Marchand. He would be the first, is what I meant to say. Marchand is critically known for his diving. There's some, you can look it up on YouTube. There's some plays where he gets slashed on the left foot. He goes down and grabs his right foot. And why does he do it? Because it gets his team a power play. You see, Marchand doesn't care about his reputation. And this is admirable, actually. He doesn't care if he's viewed as a villain. He doesn't care if he's viewed as a rat. He's just there doing his job. And if what he does produces fruit to his team, he's going to continue doing it. And Marchand is a prime example of you hate him if he's not on your team, you adore him if he's on your team. One of my favorite players on my team is Domi. And Domi is arguably the same type of player as Marchand, but maybe, 10 times less talented and, 10 times more toned down. He won't do as dirty as shit as Marchand does. One example is in this game. Look no further than this game. He goes up to Bennington, gives him a little shot on the pad with a stick. Now, that's a play that's sneaky. The reason why it's sneaky is because it's subtle enough that the refs won't see it happen. It's done. It's the refs weren't looking. They're probably looking at the icing that was happening. And then Marchand does it. The refs didn't see it. That's what makes it sneaky. He's trying to get into Bennington's head. And for some goalies, he does manage to get in their head. What I would say about Bennington, and I've criticized him a lot throughout this video, but I'm going to finally give him a compliment. Bennington, he seems like the type of person that nothing phases him. And I know it's a cliche, but he's cool, he's calm, he's cool as a cucumber. He seems the type that you can't get in his head. And look at last game. He lets in 5 goals. He gets pulled. You see a lot of goalies that arrive to the bench, they're slashing their sticks, they're angry, they're hitting something, they're knocking down the rack of sticks. And Bennington just goes and sits down. Excuse me. I ate not too long ago. Chicken fries. So that's what I like about Bennington. And as much as I think he's kind of shaky in front of his net, and I don't always have confidence, I have confidence that he doesn't get fazed by a bad goal. He lets in a goal, and for him, it's like he didn't let in anything. He erases everything. He resets it, starts from zero. Boom, let's play hockey. So Marchand did that, rat move. And by the way, guys, Marchand's nickname is the Rat. And I think he's embraced that because at the All-Star game this year, there was people holding a rat poster. And he posed next to him and actually took a photo, which actually is cool when you think about it. Many players that would get insulted, he's kind of embraced it. But what I wanted to say is that people call him a rat because of his play. When I call him a rat, I think he actually kind of looks like a rat. Don't you guys think? And you guys might think I look like a warthog. That's fine. Write in the comments, I'll evaluate and see if you're right or wrong. You're probably right. But I find, how people say that the longer you have a dog, the more you start looking at him like him? Well, Marchand's pet dog must have been a rat because he's starting to look like a rat. So later in that period, I don't have much notes about that period because there wasn't, much plays. There wasn't much, goals or anything. But in terms of entertainment value, it was going, back and forth, left and right and center. It was fairly entertaining. And there was a part of the game where, I started just talking about economics with my friends and we're kind of not really paying attention. That third period kicked in. We shut the F up. We were looking at the game. We were just phased in. We couldn't take our eyes off of it. And obviously the Blues went on to score. Ryan O'Reilly, my worst nemesis, scores a goal. And again, the cliche reigns true. Pucks on net, pucks on net, pucks on net. These goalies, goalies are extremely athletic. Nowadays, more than any other time period. Their equipment is bigger. The pads are bigger. The nets are smaller. It's harder for the players. In this NHL, the goalies are furthermore advantaged. So you're most likely not going to beat them on a clean shot. However, while you can't beat them, while you can't score on them, you can definitely create a rebound. And Pietrangelo comes down. He's down on the wing, shoots on net. Rask blockers it away. It goes right to Ryan O'Reilly. And credit to my worst nemesis for being able to bat it out of midair and into the net. And that takes a lot of talent. And at the speed at which hockey is being played, it's almost, you don't have time to think. It's a reflex thing. You see the puck in front of you, boom, inside the net. So beautiful goal. And later in that period, Tarasenko absolutely drilled Pasternak. And if you're a Bruins fan, you got to just hope Pasternak's not feeling any long-lasting effects from the abuse he's taking. Because that's the right word. It really is abuse. He's been taking some heavy, heavy hits. Now, Ian Marshall says, I got to sign off for the night. Keep up the quality vids. I'll listen on my way to work in the morning. I'm already subscribed. So thanks a lot, Ian. Thanks for joining us. We definitely appreciated your presence. And, you know, you warmed the cockles of my heart. And cockles is a word I'm trying not to laugh at. But you warmed the cockles of my heart, all the compliments. So thanks. Keep it up, bud. Now, I got to admit, I had to drive home for the remaining 10 or so minutes. So I didn't catch the end. But from what I saw, Braden Shen scored a goal, making it 4-2. Series tied. What do I expect moving forward? Now, I realized something throughout, you know, watching NBC, just watching, you know, hockey vids, hockey channels. It seems like whoever wins the series, they seem like the favorite to win. Sorry, whoever wins the game seems like the favorite to win the series. And if the Bruins win, oh, the Bruins are winning the cup. And then if the Blues win, oh, the Blues are winning the cup. I'm going to stick to my guns. I'm going to say that the Bruins are still going to win. I think they're too talented. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong tomorrow. We wouldn't know. It's up to us to see. And we're going to sit down there and we're going to see it and we're going to be entertained as usual because hockey is the most entertaining sport. It's the fastest sport. And I can't wait to see what happens next. Next game going to Boston. Could you guys imagine the disaster if the Blues let this one squeak by? They go down in the series 3-1. And they're stuck going back to Boston with that Boston crowd. They're going to have Sam Adams chucked at their head the whole game. So can you imagine the disaster? They just avoided the disaster. And this doesn't mean they're going to win the series. This doesn't mean it's going to win the cup. All I can say is that they stretched it out a little longer. So thank you guys for listening to my video. Again, getting a little tired. I know I'm a little all over the place. But for those of you in the chat, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening to this video. Definitely more to come. If you guys like hockey, any type of hockey, and you know, you want less of like a PC clean cut, if you like to hear the word fuck, definitely subscribe to this fucking channel. It's great. It's going to have great content. I put videos up regularly. You can't say the same for hockey. It's a very niche market. You can't find much people who put up videos regularly. I do it. I sit on my ass. You know, I make videos on the regular. My chair has my ass print on it. That's how much videos I make. So make sure to subscribe. Press that like button. I appreciate the support. So without further ado, my name is Matt, signing off.